I want to talk about SANKOFA, one of the symbols in the Akan people of Ghana, our Akan brothers, from their cultural imagination. They have in their cultural imagination symbols called drinker symbols. So I want to focus on um, one of those symbols called SANKOFA, which literally means go back and fetch it. SANKOFA is, in a way, the scariest scale of consciousness. What do I mean by that? And what makes the scale the scariest, in relation to consciousness? What is being scaled here in our invocation of this Akan, cultural imagery? And how does that relate to consciousness? And in what way is our consciousness orientation affected by us applying the SANKOFA measure in scaling ourselves, to existence? So invoking that indispensable memory, which memory is that conduit of us going back to fetch it, going back to rediscover, to retrieve the original intent upon which our forward movement should be based, finding the original intent, with our very existence, and what is the imperative of that. Then invoking SANKOFA has the likelihood of placing an African person at polar positions with their current living construct, which living construct may not be in consonance with the retrieved original intent through the SANKOFA conduit. SANKOFA can also put you in a ring. It can also put you in a ring with your falsified consciousness that may have rendered you and your living, grossly misinterpreting or not accurately representing your essence and the very power of your being in its true sense. And the falsehoods you may have sincerely upheld as truth. SANKOFA, this backward movement that is intended to rediscover, excavate, retrieve the original intent upon which the forward movement should be based. And all that I'm saying is, as you fly with your egg on your back as that SANKOFA bird, or as the embodiment by cultural imagination of the SANKOFA bird that has to go back to fetch it, or go back and fetch it. You have to prepare for the unavoidable pains of righting some wrongs, in a process. That's what you need to prepare for. You don't just SANKOFA. There are costs that must be examined in invoking this force, in invoking this quote unquote spirit. So African people have been at a millennia old race war. With us having been in this millennia old race war, the divide is sadly not so clear to this day to many, or not as clear as it should be. It's not. The divide is not as clear as it should be. And complacency and apathy on reformist sellout political experiences that have lured many of us, back to sleep, have now hardened. They have now hardened, and it makes stepping on toes, on some people's toes, in raising the battle cry, to become unavoidable. So revolutionary love is often at polar positions with the conveniences and comforts of the oppressed. So if Sankofa scale is to be upheld, um, many of you, my brothers and sisters, will have to forgive those who uphold the scale, and hopefully, thank them later. But they have to hurt you a bit for truth to penetrate and break through your fears and insecurities, your complacency, your cowardice, your apathy, because these have built an obscurity that makes your vision to your realities and over them very vague and blurry, if not elusive.